So this is I can statement number 2, which says I can tell something about each of the main characters and prove my thinking with evidence from the text. And this I can statement can be completed at any point in your book. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to think about your main characters, and you're going to want to think about what are their character traits. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to pick a character. So you're going to list one character. In this case, I've chosen for Freak the Mighty, my book example, Max. And I know that Max is a main character because he's in the entire story. He's a very important character. He's our narrator, and the action of the story revolves around him. So first, for my first step, I'm going to list his name. The next thing is I need to choose a character trait for Max. And I want to remember that a character trait is a word that I would use to describe Max's personality. It's not something that describes his physical appearance, his feelings in a certain situation. It's a word to describe his personality. Who is he as a person? And so when I'm thinking about Max as a character, I'm thinking about his actions throughout the story, and I have noticed that Max is protective. And so that's what I've written down for my character trait for Max. Remember, this is not a feeling or an emotion, so I wouldn't say that Max is scared, because I don't think that Max is someone who's scared throughout the whole book. And it's also not a physical description, so I wouldn't say that Max is tall, because even though Max is tall, that's not a way to describe his personality. So I've chosen my character trait for Max, which is protective. And if I'm having a hard time picking out a character trait, a great place to look would be that anchor chart in the coaching corner. So my third step now is to provide evidence from the book that proves that character trait. And so I know that Max is protective. That's my first sentence starter here. And so what I need to do now is think of evidence about when that happens in the book. And there's a lot of times that Max is protective, but the first time I'm thinking of, it happens on page 86. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down that, and it says, because in the book on page 86 it says, when the kids kept crowding around, I pushed them back, and then next thing, Freak's face is starting to look pink instead of purple, and he's breathing okay. And that example is from when Freak is choking and Max protects him. So that's one time that Max is protective, and I gave evidence to show that. I'm starting to think about another time that Max is protective, and I'm thinking about when Killer Kane is with him and kidnaps him. And there's one part that stands out to me about showing that Max is protective, and that's on page 128. And that's where he says, I saw you kill her. I saw you kill Mom. I never forgot it, not ever. And that shows that Max is protective because he protects Loretta by diverting the attention from her and getting that attention towards him. So once I've completed this I can statement, I need to now repeat it for another character. So in the example of Freak the Mighty, I would probably do this with Freak. I'm not going to type it out for you, but a great example for Freak would be that he is smart. That would be a character trait. So to review the steps that we need to take, the first thing that we need to do is list one character's name. Pick a character trait for them. Remember, a character trait is not a feeling or an emotion or a physical characteristic. And then I need to provide 2 pieces of evidence. There's my first, and there's my second, using page numbers showing why they are that character trait. And these are the steps you need to take to complete I can statement number 2.